Motorsport Radio.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team.
Hi, this is Nick Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Jamie Chadwick.
Hey everyone, I'm Bradley Smith.
Hi, I'm Joanne Zarco.
Hi, I'm Bradley Wright.
Hi, I'm Seb Morris.
Hi, I'm Dan Linfoot from Honda Racing, British Superbike team, and this is Motorsport Radio.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hi, I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome. This is another live episode of the Superbike Show. Yes, my name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in. And this is Motorsport Radio. If this is your first ever experience of us here, then welcome. And we are live right now on the old Facebooks, on Twitter as well. You can get in contact with us all throughout the show. We'll be reading out your fascinating, diabolical messages that we will have pleasure in reading out on tonight's show. Yes, coming up, we'll give you all the latest news that's been breaking in MotoGP. Not that you wasn't expecting it anyway for Lorenzo to return. Oh, I've already said it. So MotoGP news on the way, as well as all the latest that's been going on in BSB. Yes, just weeks before their media day for 2019, we'll bring you the latest that's been going on in the paddock over Christmas and the winter, and a little matter of the World Superbike Championship, which apparently, according to the word on the street, is going to be bigger and better than ever before. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for being with us this evening. We have an all-star panel on the show tonight. Please welcome to the Superbike Show. It is Ed Hocknell. Hello, good evening, Ed.
Good evening, Lester.
And welcome back, Nat Jarvis. Hello, Nat.
Evening.
And making his 2019 first appearance on the Superbike Show, all the way live from Scotland. So excuse the delay, the satellite delay. It's usually bad anyway on the show, but it's Liam Hodgins. Hello, Liam.
Hello, Lester. Yeah, I may have a bit of an AOL dial-up up here, but we'll power through.
And you can get in touch with us all evening. It's at M Sport Radio live on Twitter. Yes, we do stream live simultaneously on Twitter. We're also streaming audio as well. Old-fashioned radio audio stuff on our website, motorsport.radio. That is the address for that. So if you're not able to sit in front of your laptop on a Thursday night and check us gorgeous people out, then you can definitely listen to us. Face for radio, I think the word is. Definitely. It's probably more preferable. So yeah, let us know what you're doing this weekend in particular. Are you going to be staying up all night to watch the World Superbikes? We'll get on to talking about that later in the show, as well as, like I said, everything else, and your messages too. Right, so let's get on with some news then, shall we? And it's over to some MotoGP latest news, and Liam.
Yes, thank you very much, Lester. So MotoGP kicks off this Saturday in Qatar, and we've got lots to look forward to. We've got Ducati, look out for them. We've obviously got Marc Marquez and what his shoulder can do. Can he keep up the race pace? We've also got Yamaha. What improvements have they made? Will it carry over from Sepang to Qatar? And obviously Jorge Lorenzo does return, and this will be the first time we get to see him in proper Repsol Honda colours. So we're going to see how his wrist holds up throughout the entire test. Also, we've got a new secret weapon Honda does with the bento box. Now, if you don't know what a bento box is, I've done some research on it. Basically, it's a sort of takeaway home Japanese food box. So they've got that in the back of the bike. That's basically to put the electronics in it, so it gives the bike more streamlined positioning from the front to the back, and helps the engine breathe a little bit. And Yamaha boss Lynn Jarvis has said that Yamaha doesn't need a revolution, but it needs a strong evolution. So what can we expect from Yamaha in 2019? Now only time will tell, with the first race kicking off in a few weeks. And Rossi feels that he deserved a 10th world title after losing it in 2006 and 2015, but admitted the 2006 was harder to take, as he felt he made a mistake and it slipped away. And Cal Crutchlow said that Honda's strong point in the MotoGP class is their braking, and he's hoping that they're trying to find some front-end performance that don't take away the braking performance of the bike. So that's pretty much all the MotoGP news for this week.
So with Rossi, apparently you said he deserved a 10th title, and that's kind of difficult to hear, especially because I always say that you've got to earn certain things, if anything at all, and for riders, when they start coming out saying that they deserve to have this or they were the natural victors of that, was there maybe a tinge of sarcasm when he said that, or was he actually genuinely being serious that he thinks he should own the world?
I think he said it in an Italian radio show or a chat show, so I think there could have been a mis sort of interpretation of what he actually said. But when he says he deserved it, I think what he was trying to say is that he felt like he worked really hard on the 2006 title and it just slipped away through a mistake of his own, really, in Valencia 2006 when he fell off the bike and Nicky Hayden won the world title.
Then, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, he was leading by 8 points going into the final round, but he came back from a 54-point deficit after the summer break. So he worked hard at it. Yamaha wasn't quite up to scratch. He says that he wasn't quite as prepared as he should have been that year, but that's the one that really hurt him. More so than 2015, surprisingly.
Okay, and that's that literally is all the latest MotoGP news. And as you were hearing there, that Lorenzo confirmed back at testing at Qatar, but that was kind of the plan anyway, for him to just miss Malaysia and come back for the second round of tests anyway, so no big surprise, nothing breaking. I think it's just a bit of pre-season hysteria. Any bit of news gets overhyped and overblown. Surely not. All right, so other bits of news. Moto 2, Nat.
Yeah, so as most people probably know, Moto 2 has been in Jerez this week testing. It's been a pretty good test for Luca Marini. He topped day one. To me, he's looking like the strongest candidate. He's certainly the bookies' favourite going into the season. We've got our very own Sam Lowes, who's been carrying himself very, very upbeat. He's looking very, very upbeat, very strong, very confident, and he's making some very, very good noise. You know, he said that he's not really been pushed near the limit yet. So, and he finished day one in third. Jake Dixon is getting more comfortable with the Moto 2, although he did have a slight fall today at turn 11, but he finished the session just over a second off of Marini, which, you know, is a little bit a little bit of a margin, but it's not too bad. We've got to remember that these are completely different style of bike to the BSB bikes that he is used to. Alex Marquez, big year for him. Make or break. You know, I feel like he was swung an 11th hour lifeline by Mark VDS. There's certainly, if it was me personally, there's certainly a few other riders I would have been inclined to be signing over Alex Marquez. He's been in the class now since 2015. We're now in 2019. He's with arguably the best team, and he hasn't really set anything alight in Moto 2. The only wins he has had have all been from pole, start to finish, leading the race. So
does it? I suppose that begs the question, though. Really, with Alex Marquez, it's kind of a make or break year for him, then, isn't it? It's kind of it's now or never. It's this year to make it big,
yes,
or do something, or go home.
Yes, the thing is, I think it's a make or break season for quite a few riders through the Moto2 grid. I mean, you've also got Lorenzo Baldassari, who arguably, again, it's potentially make or break for him. You know, a bit like Marquez. he's got the raw speed. It's just sort of getting that raw speed consistently over an entire season. But then there's a lot of young riders coming into Moto2. I mean, I think I spoke previously about the level of talent of rookies coming into MotoGP. It's exactly the same in Moto2. They have got some fierce young rookies. You've got Nicolo Bulega, you've got Fabio Di Gianantonio, you've got Anea Bastianini. You've got a lot of fast rookies who are learning very, very quickly, that will be keeping Alex Marquez and Baldassarri very, very honest. So I think it's make or break for both of them riders this year. And then in other Moto2 news, KTM have had a private test on Monday and Tuesday, with reports saying that KTM have had 3 different chassis for Brad Binder to test. They look committed to the 2019 title challenge, but, and this is my opinion, I'm a little bit worried for KTM in Moto2 this year. They've not really been setting. I know it's only.
Go on, just say it. That they're going to be crap.
It's only testing, but they have not been setting the timesheets alight.
Are they the Williams of an F1 reference there of Moto2?
Not that bad.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, to me, they look like they may be struggling a bit more than Kalex this year. Because if you look at most of the testing, it's been a complete Kalex lockout. So, yeah. Okay,
fair enough. Interesting that you call it Kalex. I've always called it Kalex, but whatever.
Kalex. I'm from the south, so Kalex.
No, it's just it's just I shouldn't be. I mean, what do I know about language and stuff? Anyway, you can get in touch with us this evening. We are definitely live, and just to prove that we are live, we will intermittently be having messages. We're trialling a new system here on our visual radio thing, where we'll be putting the messages on the screen, and your face and your name will be associated with it. So if you want to swear, then it's got your face on it. So there you go. But let us know either way. It's at M Sport Radio on Twitter or on Facebook, where we have just started a watch party. No idea. Sorry, kids. We'll be.
What's a watch party?
Apparently, everyone gets together. And I saw something like that in Amsterdam, but I don't think it's the same thing.
Very few things are the same as in Amsterdam.
No, and we're kind of in shop windows, aren't we? I suppose. Anyway, moving on.
In that sense.
Can I just mention that everything I just said about KTM, Ryan Lilly's just completely thrown me out and thrown me under the bus, because apparently Brad Binder was top this afternoon. So, yeah.
We'll save that.
It's only testing.
Yeah. We'll edit that one, post it out.
Yeah, it's not like it's live or anything.
No.
But get in touch if you hear any of us talking crap, and we must be corrected immediately. That is your job tonight, Internet. So especially anybody in the watch party.
Whose watch party is this?
I don't even know what a watch party is, to be honest. I don't even have a watch. But anyway,
come to a party, didn't even bring the drink.
Right, back to the bikes, and we will go on to Moto 3, and it's back to Liam.
Yeah, so Moto3 has been testing down in Jerez as well, along with Moto2. And yesterday it was Sergio Garcia of the Estrella Galicia team that topped the session. But today it was Aaron Canet who topped the session, part of the Stella Garda Max Racing team. If you don't know what team that is, it's Max Biaggi's team. And they're going to be doing their rookie season in Moto3 this year. So they're looking good from the off, using KTMs this year as well. John McPhee, in other news, is feeling very confident and fast. He said he hasn't been pushing too hard at all or chasing lap times. He feels confident that he should be fighting for the podium consistently this year, and believing that the new Honda engine is a massive improvement on last year. And he's been really impressed about how much Honda have upped their game. I managed to speak to John McPhee in the paddock in Valencia last year, and he was just buzzing, just couldn't wait for actually getting to become part of the SICK racing team and getting started for 2019. So look out for him this year. And in other Brit news in Moto3, it's been a pretty bad day for Tom Booth Amos. Don't know if I said that right. He found the limit of the bike, and at turn 5,
So
he decided to drop off it. Not destroyed it, but he only managed a few laps throughout the day when he got back on a little bit later. But he says his one lap pace isn't very good, but his consistency's there, so race pace is looking quite strong, and he should have a chance of trying the 2019 KTM engine at the Qatar test.
Interesting. Okay. We do like Tom Booth Amos. He's quick young lad. Don't know how old he is. I think he might be like 17 or something, 16. No idea, to be honest. Tom, if you tuned in, let us know how old you are. Anyway, so a big hello to Heath Gunn, who's tuned in. Hello, good evening. Who was replying to a comment on our live comments from Alan Standing, who says that Shaky needs to be back in a BSB paddock. Well, he always is in the paddock, but I think you mean racing. Not to put words in your mouth, but yes, basically, I think everybody is in agreement with that, aren't we?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
love to see Shaky back.
Yeah, back on a bike racing. Yeah, certainly. And Heath was saying after smashing himself up the way he did, he says he'd be amazed if Shaky doesn't retire. Something that I think was on maybe a few people's minds anyway. Why not, enjoy life with your family and your wife and your helicopter?
I don't think he wants to. I don't think Shaky Byrne wants to leave it where he left it.
I don't want to spend time with my family. Please take me away from them. I want to be back on a bike.
I wouldn't mind that type of lifestyle anyway. So even if he doesn't want it, maybe I can be second in line for it. I don't know.
I can see what that's saying, because Shaky, when he had the crash, it was at a rather cold, miserable day at Snetterton in early May, out on his back at the backside of the track. And yeah, if anyone was seeing any of the Eurosport broadcasts of the British Superbike season during the summer, you'd have seen Shaky with his head in this massive medical cage that was there. So yeah, Shaky will definitely want to get back on the bike if he's able to and finish out on a winning high. So I think we all like to see him ultimately on the bike, have one last hurrah before calling it a day.
I think he's really wanting to get back, because when
there was a big rumor about him potentially going to the Oxford.
Effectively MotoRapido Ducati. There was talks of an 11th hour deal at the end of last year if he got signed fit, but we will get to that when we get to the BSB news.
What was you saying, Liam? Sorry, I talked over you.
So yeah, I was just basically saying when it was announced Paul Bird Racing were going to have Glenn Irwin and Josh Brooks for this season, he posted on Twitter that he just seemed genuinely upset that he was kind of dropped. So I know he wasn't fully fit or anything like that. He knew that as well, but it just felt like he was planning a return at some point.
Never say never, really. Talking about returns and potential returns anyway, or maybe not. Hello, Michael Howarth joined us on the live stream. Hello, good evening. If you're still tuned in, let us know what's going on, Michael. Let us know if you're not tuned in. Right. So this is the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. Hello and good evening.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Yes, and we are live this evening. Hello and welcome. My name is Lester, and we are definitely most live. Thank you very much for tuning in. Live on Facebook, live on Twitter, live pretty much everywhere, and we are taking your comments because we want to know what you've got to say about BSB, MotoGP, Moto2, Moto3, even Romano Fenati. Wow, that lit up last week. Wow, Gordon Bennett.
Let's not open that can again, Lester.
No, I got to go. Yeah, we got way more than enough social media engagements out of that one. But yeah, so it's looking like it's going to be a fascinating 2019 season. No idea who's going to win BSB. No idea who's going to be champion in MotoGP. Maybe it'll be Marquez. Could it be a brand new challenger? Same in Moto2 as well. Maybe it might be Jake Dixon. We cautiously suggested that he might not do it last week, but why not? Why not? Could Brad Ray put something together for 2020? A deal, maybe? Who knows? He didn't deny it when he was asked last week on this show whether he was looking to go straight into MotoGP. He didn't deny it. He just said it's going to be difficult, and yeah, it probably will be. So yeah, let us know and your thoughts on any of those, and also the small matter of a little championship that's been often overlooked in the past few years. Don't know why, but a lot of people suggest anyway that this year it's going to be bigger and better than ever before. Let's go and get some news about the World Superbike Championship. Ed.
Yes, World Superbikes is back this week properly. It's the season opening round at the Phillip Island circuit in Australia, and as tradition, the week leading up to it, there's the final winter test down at the circuit, and Alvaro Bautista, well, he's been stealing all the headlines in the sport since announcing he was going to move from MotoGP to the World Superbike Championship last year. He blitzed the lap record time, the unofficial one we should say, as it's only testing, not once but twice during the session to confirm he's going to be definitely one of the front runners of the new season. There was a surprise in the chasing pack who could be the next best, in that the BMW outfit, spearheaded by Tom Sykes and Marcus Reiterberger, were both incredibly competitive throughout the session. Neither bike ever outside of the top 5 on average on average pace over long runs. Now, much was made about just having 18 riders on the grid for this season. Was it too small? We're going to have at least one wild card this weekend, though, to take us up to the dizzy number of 19. It's Australian Superbike champion Troy Herfoss. It's tradition at the Aussie round that the Aussie Superbike champion gets to show his stuff against the world's finest. So Troy Herfoss is definitely on the grid. There's still been talk this week that maybe a certain Troy Bayliss is trying to get a last-minute deal put together. We may not know that until
that would be a very late deal.
It would be. It's not impossible because the Australian Superbikes run alongside the World Superbike events, so potentially all they need to do is get the appropriate paperwork signed off and he can race in the Superbike class, as could former BSB racer Josh Waters, who has been back down in Australia for the last few years. Potentially 3 wild cards for this week. Troy Herfoss at the moment is the only confirmed one, so we will likely know how many will be in the small hours of tomorrow morning, in about 5 hours' time when they head out for practice to start the season in earnest. Now, there's been some quiet confidence coming out from the Yamaha camp, particularly the Pata Yamaha camp this year. They've not been going anywhere near the headline lap times over single runs at all throughout testing. They've been focusing on securing their race setup on their R1 bikes as well as they can. Both Alex Lowe's and Michael van der Mark believe they've got the bikes about as good as they can get them now, and they're a lot more confident from how they finished the end of last season, believing the team have made a real step forward. It helps that Yamaha now have a fully dedicated European race factory based in Spain for this year, and the addition of 2 extra factory-supported machines from the GRT team that have moved up from World Supersports into Superbikes for this year, spearheaded by Marco Melandri, who's moved across from Ducati to take the reins there, and alongside the World Supersport champion Sandro Cortese. Cortese has spent the winter just getting used to the bike, dialing himself in, making the adjustments from the intermediate class to the Premier class, as it were. Marco Melandri has looked pretty fast from the word go, it must be said. So there could be a whole host of names fighting for the podium places and the win from this weekend. It's not going to be like last year where you could make a safe bet as to who would win that race, or at least you could predict the podium pretty safely. Any of Ducati, Kawasaki, BMW and Yamaha 8 teams, that's 4 factory teams, because Yamaha have 2. That means there's 10 bikes, potentially 10 riders that will be fighting out for those podium places at the front. People made comparisons with it going back to the glory days of the late 90s and the early 2000s with this sport. And to be honest, I know we mustn't get too carried away. It's only testing that we have to go on from this year so far, but it does look like we are in for an absolute cracker for this season.
Yeah, I think we've been saying that, well, we, as in the people who want World Superbikes to be, I suppose, whatever it was whenever they were younger, as in better. But we've been generally saying the sort of same thing for the last sort of two seasons, haven't we?
Oh, yes, definitely 2 seasons. It's difficult to know what went wrong. I suppose Kawasaki, their decision ultimately to withdraw from MotoGP, 10 years ago now, has proved to have been the correct one from their point of view, as they've taken the championship by storm. Since 2013, they have won all but one of the World Championships. Only in 2014 were they beaten to the crown by Aprilia, I believe, off the top of my head. So they have been the de facto force in World Superbikes. Ducati, though, this year have really ramped up their chance to get what they regard the World Superbike crown as their crown back. They have the richest history out of all teams in Superbikes. And the new Panigale V4R, it seems to be the real deal. All the troubles from the cornering that the old V-twin Panigale used to have, whereas that Bautista, Chaz Davis, and Michele Pirro, their incredible test rider, they're also, this bike is a dream to ride through the corners. Now, if you look at the map of Phillip Island for this year, they don't have particularly long straights. They've got plenty of medium and fast speed corners to get your hands around. Ducati are quietly confident that Bautista's 1 lap pace is going to be very easily converted into a race lap result as well this year. So, last year, you could look back at last year with Marco Melandri taking a very surprising double out there, practically fishtailing his way around the circuit with one of the most unstable rear ends of a Ducati I've ever seen. So Ducati have good form around the circuit at Phillip Island. Kawasaki, Jonathan Rea, he's always going to be there. We know that. Leon Haslam, how quickly is he going to adapt to the bike, to the competition?
Pretty quickly, I would say.
Pretty quickly, exactly as seen by testing. If we could address a team that could potentially be struggling in the loosest possible sense, you'd have to say Honda, because they've been put through the mill the last 2 years. They struggled to get to grips with their SP2 Fireblade. The old Ten Carter team declared bankrupt, so HRC over the winter have stepped in. They've taken control of the operation. There is improvement with that bike that's come through. Leon Camier is certainly showing consistently quicker times than he did last year, and indeed towards the end of last season as well at Qatar. They're not expected to be podium. They're very much playing down their expectations for the first couple of rounds. And Honda team has said it's really probably not going to be until they reach the Aragon and the Assen rounds where you start to notice Honda really making that big step forward back up to being at the front of the podium. So they are probably the team that we should not expect too much this season. Everyone else, however, if you're Ducati, BMW, Kawasaki or Yamaha backed, you're in for a cracker this year, because all those bikes, all those teams, they are going to be flying.
Okay. Did you mention Greg Haynes?
Yes, there's,
because he's been speaking.
Yes, speaking. Yes, the Eurosport voice of World Superbikes he made this to us a couple of days ago. Race direction in the matter of stewards' decisions, always that technical grey area which we all love to have an old natter about. Race direction, it's changing slightly for World Superbikes this year. It's in that they will no longer be actually directly making the stewards' decisions. So instead, there's going to be a new panel, 2 permanent stewards, which will be at every single round of the year, and 1 independently selected steward that will accompany them for each of the various rounds as well. So the idea is complete impartiality. that they obviously hope that no one would question their decisions to penalise a rider or whatever. Fortunately, in motorbikes, especially at the top end, we don't tend to have a lot of off-track controversy, i.e. race results decided.
Well, you just jinxed it then, haven't you, for this weekend? Because that's what's going to happen, obviously. Yeah.
Maybe. But the idea is that they just want it all completely independent, so it's very, transparent. Word that no one can accuse race control of picking favourites. How they were last year with the regulations, it was often described that race control were just trying to slow Kawasaki down, if not definitely stop them from winning. So it's a move
literally
which
what it was.
Yeah, but it kind of needed doing.
They brought in the Michael Schumacher rule of you're too fast. This is getting really. It's hurting our championship now, and we're going to make some changes. That's what I call Michael Schumacher.
I can't really argue too much against that.
Yeah.
Again, they've decided to go with it just in the interest of transparency and clear results, and have to give it a go, just like we will have to give the new race format a go. Now, if you weren't tuned in last week, here's a very brief rundown of the changes. So how we used to have 3 practice sessions on a Friday, we're now going back to 2, and you can forget about the combined lap times carrying over into qualifying. That's been scrapped. Saturday is when it becomes interesting. The old qualifying Superpole 1 and Superpole 2, they've been combined into a single qualifying session in the morning, and that sets the grid for Superbike Race 1 in its now normal spot, last thing on a Saturday afternoon. On the Sunday, after all the warm-ups have taken place, this interesting named Superpole race takes place. Now that, it's got championship points to it, 12 points for the winner, going all the way down to one of the top 9 score points. We're not going to get too much into that right now, but
that just makes my spreadsheet enormously complicated.
It made my head explode as I was trying to write it out last week. It was why did they do that? Yeah. But anyway, the Superpole. So the Superbike Race 1 sets the grid for Superpole Race, and the results of Superpole Race set the grid for Superbike Race 2, which is being carried on back to its original position as the final event of the day.
Fair enough. Are we all in agreement that is? I'm kind of pressuring you into agreeing to it, but you don't have to. But that is a decent race format to give it a go with.
I think it's better than what we've had the last couple of years, where we had, we only had one race on a Sunday, and it did affect the paying spectators going through the gate, because ultimately what World Superbikes, you have to remember, they have to come up with something which is completely, well, not completely, but noticeably different to MotoGP. Now, in the good old days, as people like to hark back for that, which we usually agree is the 1990s, they could have had the same format of MotoGP, and it wouldn't have been a problem, because World Superbikes was the production 4-stroke championship. Grand Prix racing was there back then 2 strokes. So, but now, of course, as they're both running 4-stroke machinery, they've got to keep doing things differently. And 2 races on the Sunday. Ideally, the 2 feature races was perhaps what the British fans wanted over here. The traditionals, TV companies who broadcast, they were rather happy with the audience figures they were getting for having a big race on a Saturday and a big race on the Sunday. So the compromise is, we'll give you 3 races over the weekend. The feature races will stay in the slot as they were at the end of last season, and the Superpole race will come in as a sprint race, effectively, to start the racing off after all the warm-ups.
Did you get that, kids? No? Well, never mind.
I tried to explain.
I think it could be done a little bit differently. Now, I think maybe the Superpole race could be done on a Saturday, and that could be acted as the qualifying now, have the grid set up in championship order, have a small sprint, and then have your 2 feature races on the Sunday like it used to be, because I definitely preferred that format.
Yeah, and we discussed in great length last week, didn't we, about that.
That's certainly how I would have done it later.
I think people are underestimating the power of this Superpole race. I think people
It is going to be a frantic
I'll tell you what, someone could win the championship this year without actually technically winning a race, because there is that many points up for grabs in a Super Bowl race. So I wouldn't underestimate how many points are up for grabs, how much that can actually sway the championship, and how much interest it may well pick up. So,
although,
yeah,
wasn't I right in the actual Super Bowl race itself? Isn't how many? Is it like? And
12
I was
points.
Yeah, but the amount of laps, or is it going off time? I was listening to what Greg was saying the other day.
It's a 10. The Super Bowl race is a 10-lap.
10-lap
event. All the
race.
circuits, it's a blanket 10-lap event.
What if there's a safety car?
We haven't had one of those for years.
Yeah, but might happen.
No safety car in World Superbikes. It's just British Superbikes.
Yeah, British Superbikes is the only series that runs safety car.
Yeah.
Worlds and MotoGP don't. They just red flag if they have to.
Yeah.
Which is very rare.
Well, what I'm thinking, like, what if, because it's only like it's meant to be, it's obviously designed to be a 10-lap dash or a sprint, or a super.
I would imagine, Les, that they have a certain number. Say they need 6 laps.
What if they had to red flag it on lap 5? Would they continue with that, or would they have 2 lots of super?
Well,
to be honest, they're probably going to have flexibility in the schedule that if they had to red flag it after 3, 4, 5 laps, that they would probably then just do a full restart, because why not? If they have the flexibility on the timetable and the TV times, then I don't see there being much of an issue with them doing a full race restart and from 0 to 10. Or 0 to 7, or whatever. But
to get around the problems, and we see it a lot in BSB as well, when usually it's in bad weather conditions, when they throw the red flag out in BSB, the race direction will wait as long as they possibly can before putting it out, because they don't really want to restart the race once they put the red flag out. So saying they probably have a lap total in mind, to say 6 completed laps, and then they will award the points. So they would wait to get those 6 laps done before throwing the red flag out, declare the race result. If there's flexibility in the time, like Nat said, yes, they would probably try and do a complete rerun, and as it's only 10 laps, it shouldn't technically be too much of a problem. The alternative is half points, I would imagine, going down if they can't restart from half race distance, which could have a big impact, because that would mean there's only... that would mean there was only 6 points up for grabs. On the top of my head for the Super Bowl race winner. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm just having a quick look at some of the comments flooding in on our watch party, and I agree with what Rory Hurd has said, and which was replying to, I think, what I said earlier, in that yes, you do need a spreadsheet to explain all of this better. Which is why I've got a spreadsheet to keep track of everything, because not much stays in my little brain. So yeah.
I don't think it's too hard. It's not amazingly complicated. All it is you've got basically you've got one less practice session, you've got a qualifying session, you've got race 1 on a Saturday that determines the grid for a Super Bowl race on Sunday that gets awarded points, and that determines the grid for Sunday race 2. So it's not overly complicated. It'll be one of them things. It's like when everyone kicks off about F1 rule changes, everyone's like, oh my god, it's so complicated. It's not overly complicated once you actually watch it. Once you watch it in motion, the explaining's the hard part. Once it's actually in motion, you're going to have 18 bikes racing around a track really, really fast, regardless of whether it's for a pole position or for a race win or whatever. So the bottom line is we're going to get 3 good races over a weekend, and I think once that's in action, I think a lot of people actually quite like the idea. That's just my personal feeling.
I think go on.
I think coming back to the Super Bowl race, we probably will see a lot more red flags in that race in particular, because you will have so many riders that won't really have a chance of winning the main races, try even harder and
super
try
desperate.
and come to. Yeah, there will be, and I think it was Alex Lowe's pointed that out in a comment a few weeks ago, that there will be so many more people trying that much harder to maybe come from a long way back and put up the inside of Jonathan Ray, for example, in a desperate attempt to try and take the lead of a race. And you will maybe see a lot more pile-ups going into turn 1 at the start of a race. It could be a recipe for disaster, But one thing we probably can look forward to is 10 laps will be great fun to watch.
I was going to say, though, is it not like... this sounds really bad, but I'm just going to say it anyway because Lester made a comment last week, which is far worse than what I'm about to say. So...
What did I say? I didn't say anything.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not stooping that low. No, I'm not stooping that low.
Right.
You know, people. You say that there's potentially going to be a little bit more carnage in this super pole race. Now, if everyone deep down is being honest, everyone loves a good elbow to elbow race, but a lot of people actually go trackside to watch a few blokes slide down the road and watch their £1 million motorbike be absolutely destroyed in the gravel. So again, that might actually boost the entertainment value. Obviously, no one wants to see a rider go down and get hurt, but people do watch.
Throw a few pigeons on and seagulls here and there, spice things up.
Well, you know he's not on track.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what led to him having all the surgery.
He's had Botox this week, hasn't he?
I don't know.
But teeth whitening, I've heard.
Incidentally, though, I did find out, having done a very deep Google search, and I'm still suffering the effects of Googling Iannone, that it's not actually the first time he's had cosmetic surgery. He had plastic surgery on at least one other occasion that I was able to find on Google back in 2012 when he had a nose job.
Why does this not surprise me?
For, at the time, what he claimed was to aid his breathing. Although, if you look at before and after, that nose is definitely straighter afterwards.
Did he get punched by Paul Espargaro again? Is that what happened?
Who knows? But as much as I think we stoked a lot of fires on the got people riled up last week on the show. That's not like us. In suggesting that Iannone, well, it wasn't even a suggestion. The team said it themselves, didn't they? That he'd had plastic surgery and therefore was thrown in the bin for the testing. And also the thing about Thingy-Mabob in Moto3. What's his name? Forgotten already. Fanati. Yeah,
Fanati.
That one. World Supersport news.
Or Internet Hitler, as you put him. just saying.
Well, anyway.
Gutted I missed last week's show.
Yeah, didn't miss much.
Back on those World Supersports.
Yes. What do we have in World Supersport? Any news?
Well, their season obviously gets underway as well this weekend as being the premise for Category 2 World Superbikes. So they also had a test day down at Phillip Island earlier this week. And it was Randy Krumanacher who led the final day of testing. He kind of bolted from nowhere after being mid-pack for most of the 2 days of testing, presumably sorting out heavy fuel runs and whatnot. Done there before sticking a blistering final lap. He led the way ahead of the sole MV Augusta in the World Superbike paddock of Rafael De Rosa, who's out this year. Now, there is some big news coming for Sunday's race. If you're really keen on watching World Supersport, it is a fantastic series, so I thoroughly recommend you do. There's going to be a pit stop on Sunday's race because Pirelli have brought the new tyres across the board. The super sport bikes have reacted a little bit weirdly to them, into the extent that
they brought the wrong tyres.
It's not that. It could be that. It's Pirelli have been very hush-hush. The teams haven't actually exactly said what the problem is, other than we're not confident these tyres can last the race distance. So, if you're watching MotoGP in 2013 or World Superbikes last year, how it goes about. The race distance has been shortened. Originally, it was going to be 20 laps for Supersport. It's now down to 16. And that means there's a mandatory pit stop window between lap 8 and lap 10, where you come in and switch from, you don't switch bikes in World Superbikes. I'll get that right. You take in the back, you change your wheels in World Supersports and World Superbikes, and then you go back out. So that's how the pit stop procedure will work.
So just to repeat that again, did you say that you...
Yeah, there's no bike change.
Okay.
In World Supersports. So it's if you've ever seen the Isle of Man TT pit stop, so that's exactly what's going to happen, only without the refueling.
So it's a genuine sort of...
It's a genuine
car-style, F1-style pit stop.
Yeah, only it'll take about 35 seconds in total if you're changing both wheels. So
I bet Marc Marquez is glad he's not racing.
It should be
between 8 and 10 sounds really familiar.
Yes, it's well beside anyone who tries to sneak in on lap 11. In other words, so there's that. There's also a number of rookies into the sport, into the class this year. 2 are coming over from the Grand Prix paddock. One from Moto3, Gilles Danilo has come over, and from Moto2, Isaac Vinales joins after his career somewhat stagnated over in Moto2 the last 3 years, never really quite gelling on the old 600 cc's over there. So he's chanced to look at the 600 cc's over here, but he's switched from Honda engine to Yamaha machinery for this year. 2 riders who made their debuts last year but are making their full-time debuts this year, as it were, Australian Tom Taparis and Italian Alfonso Coppola are also on the grid, and straight up from World Supersport 300 after coming on strong in the final couple of rounds of it is 22-year-old Maria Herrera from Spain. She's moved up, making her bow in the intermediate category this year. She's with the MS Racing Yamaha team for this year, which are factory supported by the Yamaha European race factory, so they believe she has potential to go all the way up actually into World Superbikes as well, and she has plenty of experience on the 1000cc bikes and 600s over the last couple of years, racing in the CEV competitions and other top domestic competitions across France and Spain this couple of years, so she's no stranger to the bigger bikes. I believe that is all of the Supersport news.
Boom. Serious question then. Is World Supersport, is it dead?
No, absolutely not. I mean, anyone who watched the season finale last year in Qatar, brilliant.
So it's not lost its appeal?
No, I don't think it has. The manufacturer, admittedly, it was falling into almost a bit of a World Superbike trap last year with Yamaha dominating the Supersport scene. However, Kawasaki this year have brought out a brand new Supersport machine. MV Agusta have tweaked their 765 triple cylinder machine, and that's allowed into renewing their efforts. Honda, I was speaking to people who were at Motorcycle Live over just casually about, is a new 600 CBR on the way? It is, apparently it's in the works. They're trying to get it homologated later for this year, but certainly for 2020 it's going to be out. So Honda are very much still interested in the championship. So manufacturers picking up. There's a wealth of talent actually in the Supersport grid as well. So
very good.
So yes, it's, I think, whereas, would it be fair to say Moto2, the last couple of years, it's had a reputation of being a bit processional. After the first lap of all the swap and changes, the carnage be over.
Wait. I'm just going to throw Austria last year in there.
That's a one-off, though, isn't it? So consistently over the last couple of years, it's been a bit processional. World Supersports has been edge of your seat stuff for the last couple of years. Its only real issue was you had hundreds of people on a Yamaha because that was the only bike to be on. It's now changing back with the other manufacturers taking another go at it this year. So I think World Supersports, it's going to be a fantastic championship for this season.
So there, you're told. There's been, let's say, some lively debates going on in our watch group, watch party, whatever it's called. It shows how much I'm down with the kids with all the Facebook new stuff, and apparently we are still streaming. Yes, we are definitely. Hello to Niall Roberts, Niall, who's been involved in a lively debate with Alan and a few other people. Basically, yes, we like a good debate from time to time. Yes, I was going to say something else. Certainly. So yeah, you can join the conversation on the Superbike Show right now on Motorsport Radio. It's at M Sport Radio on Twitter, where we are streaming right now live. Give us a retweet on there. Facebook, it's Motorsport Radio Facebook, and in selected Facebook groups as well, i.e. every single one I can possibly share it with. Before we go off there. And also on motorsport.radio as well. This is the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. We've got Ed Hocknell here. We've got Nat Jarvis here. And we also have Liam Hodgins as well. And the debate continues.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Yes, certainly, and you can. Well, I suppose we've been searching around for a big topic of discussion tonight, because we were usually when we're planning a show of an evening, we usually think, well, what's going to be our big debate? I don't think we need one this evening, to be honest, because it's all kicking off organically, I suppose, which is good to see, I suppose. And why not? Why not have a big argument about World Superbikes? Because, as Ed said, it is back and potentially going to rival your memories from whenever you were young back in the 90s, as being the go-to, let's say, best era. Don't know, would we say that? Anyway, so yeah, we're continuing the debate on the Superbike Show, and we're not even an hour into the show yet. Loads more still to come, including a big BSB roundup and a preview as well for the season ahead, and also some road racing news as well, and road racing debates, plus your reactions to whatever nonsense we've been spouting as well here on the show. Joining us for this year, you might also be tuned in for the first time in 2019 thinking, where the hell is Kiko?
Who's Kiko?
Exactly, yeah, he's gone already. But Kiko has ascended over to Dorna. He's got a nice little job over there, I think licking envelopes or something, or something, whatever he's doing. No, he's I hear he's working in the media team at World Superbikes, amazingly enough. So yeah, ironic, for regular listeners of the show. And so there you go, Kiko. That's what he's doing usually, and he will be up all night monitoring all these sessions, because that is now his job. We would tried to get rid of him ages ago, but now we've actually got a reason for doing it, to be honest, because he's got a better job with Dorna over there in that Spain, in the Europes. So congratulations to Kiko, in case you're wondering, because none of us look like Kiko, certainly not yet. Anyway,
one day.
Good evening, by the way, and good evening to who else has joined us on the chat as well. A lot of lurking people. Don't forget to share as well the show. We always like a good sharing, because sharing, kids, is caring. Don't forget. Other cheesy slogans are available and will be distributed throughout the evening. You're welcome. So anyway, on with... I did want to actually just quickly go back a little bit, Ed, and talk briefly, if we can, about Jules Cluzel. I'm going to call him Jules.
Jules.
Yeah, Jules.
The Flying Frenchman.
Yeah, is he going to actually do what he wants to do in 2019? Well,
he's got a little stiff up competition if he wants to. Randy Krumaka, Karikazulu, they're certainly not going to lie down and let him have his own way. Look, Cluzel, he's been one of the top Supersport riders for the last 2 or 3 seasons. Now he's got immense talent out there. He's just, in the nicest possible way, his critics will say is it a bit of a mental thing with Cluzel? When the pressure gets on, he tends to go missing for a round, and it ultimately costs him the championship. He's got 1 lap speed that can deliver the great qualifying time. He's got consistent race pace that season. He technically has all the tools. He's got great people around him, good bike underneath him. It's just maybe lacking a bit of streetwise savvy, know-how in how to handle the real pressure pot situations at the crux end of the season. And especially as last year when Sandro Corsese gave him a bit of a masterclass in Qatar of how to not only take the lead of the championship on the last round, but also hold it impressively. You could certainly argue he's had a masterclass from the best in that respect. He's got more experience, so everything in his court, as it were, should say he should win this season. Will he? I'm honestly not so sure, because there are...
You're sounding like a critic.
There are so many good riders in
There was one
Supersports this
really
year.
big name you forgot. Lucas Myers on the Puchetti Kawasaki, and he looks confident. He looks so happy, so calm. He doesn't look pushed. He doesn't look pressured. He just looks fast.
Yeah, Myers arguably could have won it last season had he not have taken a couple of tumbles and damaged himself in the process. So he's certainly going to be back up there. And we mentioned with some of the rookies just a short while ago, they're going to be there. There's a few people in the paddock who are very certain that once she gets up to speed in the class, Maria Herrera is going to take some stopping as well out there. Remember how we saw last year Anna Carrasco in Supersport 300, how she destroyed the field in Imola and at Donington Park. Maria's got the same talent out there, so she perhaps might not compete for the championship this year, has early rookie problems of adapting to the class and whatnot on the world stage, learning a couple of circuits as well and all that. But she will certainly, in the second half of the season, she's expected to be pushing up for the podium regularly as well. So Cluzel is going to have to be on it from day one of the season. Really, he's going to not put a foot wrong. So there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. So yeah, It's going to be tough for him.
Definitely.
Maria Herrera.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on,
Maria Herrera was touted as the next, not the next big, but one of the next big Spanish riders to come through, because she was challenging for the CEV championship and winning races against Fabio Quartararo a few seasons back. So she is definitely one, and she lost about her way a few years ago with the massive crashes in Moto3.
The
confidence went down, and
you have
now
to remember,
she's sort of reforming that.
Maria Herrera was predominantly, it was a very small private team that was pretty much parallel through the Moto3 career, so she never really had a fair crack at that championship. I mean, yes, she was with the AGR team in final season, but they folded, with the flyaways to go. So she moved over last season to Supersport 300, took a bit of time to get to know the Yamaha machinery. She had ridden Yamaha machinery before, not to my knowledge. She had obviously the new team, new circuits and whatnot. The first half of the season was a bit of a struggle. Didn't help with Kawasaki dominating that class in the first half. But Portimao and Magny Cours, she was one of the riders to really watch in those two races. It was just unfortunate the qualifying speed of the Yamaha just wasn't good enough to get her really above 17th or 18th on the grid, which found her just mired back fighting for around 6th, 7th place ultimately. But the Yamaha is obviously much more competitive in Supersport this year, so once she adapts to the intermediate class, as it were, gets all the normal class rookie teething problems out of the way, she's going to take some serious stopping out there.
Okay. I think she'll be fantastic to watch, and she's a brilliant rider. She's also doing the Moto E this year, so she's splitting her time in World Supersport with Moto E, so she's committed.
And she's one with actually nothing to lose by doing that, because what she's riding there, it's not really a question of, but it's an electric engine rather than a petrol engine. That doesn't really matter. It's the weight of the bike, the size of the bike, the bigger. She is getting experience on much bigger bikes, and she's knocking on the door and saying, come on guys, I'm good enough to go for Superbikes here, or maybe even a return to the Grand Prix paddock on the bigger bikes in the future. So
I suppose we'll just have to wait and see, really, and fingers crossed to Maria and to Jules as well. Sure. So let us know if you have any passionate opinions on them, their riders that we've just been talking about. If you think Cluzel can do it this year, or anybody else. Are you going to actually put your money where your mouth is and have an actual bet on it, or maybe on the maybe this weekend or on World Superbikes on the title? Either or maybe any of them. If you just like losing your money, then let us know. We want to know, basically, if you've got a top tip for this weekend. Big hello, by the way, to Luke Hedger, who's joined and is tuned into the show right now, live. Hello, Luke. He's thinking. They're talking about Stuart Gibbs, hello, good evening. And who else joined as well? Hello to Lance Burney. Sorry if I've said your name wrong, Lance. Everyone knows I'm terrible at saying names, so apologies. No offence, but yeah, you can get in touch with us or just talk amongst yourself if you want on our watch party, whatever that is on the Facebooks anyway. Carol Armstrong has been on as she said that she'd love Cluzel to win this season. So he's stacking up the fans, I would say. Also as well, I saw a comment that I wanted to actually mention about BSB actually, but I've lost it. There we go. Andrew Hall, hello. I'm totally prepared. Don't worry. He says Andrew, shout out to Jones Dorling Racing Team this year in the BSB paddock with 4 riders in stock 1000 and 2 in 600 as well. Yeah, big up to those guys. And talking about the BSB paddock, it's so smooth, aren't we? So smooth. It's almost like we planned it. Talking about BSB, it's Mr. Nat Jarvis with some news.
Yes, right. I am going to start by apologising if it looks like I'm reading notes, because I am reading notes. So, I also have to thank my very good friend Ryan Lilly, who has helped me out with all of this. So, fantastic. Thank you, Ryan.
So he's wrote all your notes, have you?
He's not wrote them all. He's just helped me out with sourcing some stuff. So,
yeah, basically.
basically.
So what's new in BSB? Because I've been totally asleep since winter.
Yeah, I think the thing we need to start with is the grid, because it is completely shaken up. The 3 of the biggest teams have completely new rider lineups. Pretty much all the big teams have at least one rider change in it. So we have, for Paul Bird Motorsport, we have, of course, Josh Brooks, the biggest shock. Not. And he's joined by Aprilia MotoGP refugee Scott Redding, who will be looking to challenge for the title from the off. So that's a completely new rider lineup. We have at Quattro Plant JG Speedfit Kawasaki, Glenn Irwin and Ben Curry. Honda Racing have Xavi Foray, who came over from the Barney Racing team in World Superbikes last year, and of course Andrew Irwin, who stood in for the injured Shaky Byrne last year. Tyco BMW have stuck with Christian Idden, and joining him is the Stock 1000 champion Keith Farmer, who stays with Tyco BMW, of course, but just moves up to the Superbike class. McCann's Yamaha is the first of the ex-Honda Racing boys, who is Jason O'Halloran, will be joining Taz McKenzie. Little Taz. He'll be joining Little Taz on the Yamaha, and he's showing some very, very good vibes with the Yamaha. Bill Bass at Suzuki, of course, is Brad Ray, and he is joined by World Supersport refugee Luke Stapleford. Smith's Racing has got Peter Hickman and, of course, James Ellison, who was number 11 last year because he changed from 2017 to 2018. He went from 77 to 11 to support his good friend who is heavily tied in with the 11 Degrees clothing brand, and he was returning back to 77 this year. And Tag Racing, you have Dan Linford, Sean Winfield, and the RAF regular and reserves. We have Ryan Vickers. We of course have a new team, Bricks Ducati, which Sylvain Barrio will be riding for. We have Oxford Racing Ducati, which was Moto Rapido Ducati. Of course, that is Tommy Bridewell, after he stood in mid-season last year and done a fantastic job. WD-40 have promoted Claudio Corti, ex-MotoGP CRT rider, from the Stock 1000 class into the Superbike class, and Gearlink Kawasaki will be having Fraser Rogers. So there's a few names in there that I have missed, but they are the main changes on the grid for BSB this year. So it has been really, really busy winter. I'm just sort of getting my head around where to start. Start at the beginning. So obviously we touched on Shane Byrne earlier. Another injured rider, of course, was Josh Brooks. So Shaky Byrne's return isn't looking likely imminently. His last check at the hospital, he was... he took to social media and it didn't look all positive. I mean, he's back out cycling now, so that is a step in the right direction. But I'm guessing when he asked the doctor, can I ride a 210 brake horsepower superbike, the doctor probably turned around and said no.
You know what he probably needs to do is get himself on like a mini bike or something. Come to a Cool Fab Racing event or something with his son. That'd be fantastic.
Not a bad idea. A lot of riders train on the mini bikes.
Exactly.
And also there was John Hopkins as well. He took to publicly announced the extent of his injuries, saying that he's not 100%. In the last sort of 6 months, his recovery has stalled. He wants to come back racing, and he did say at the end of this sort of public thingy that he will be making a decision regarding his future by the end of the year. So that tells me if his recovery doesn't improve drastically by mid-season, he will probably be announcing his retirement from competitive racing. The calendar changes for this year. Obviously, the biggest one is that Brands Hatch Indy Circuit has gone, which I'm going to be honest.
Is it replaced by Brands Reverse Circuit?
No, it's replaced by Donington National.
Oh, that's good.
But the calendar has shaken up quite a lot, so there's a lot of different... So last year Donington kicked it off, and this year it's now Silverstone, and that's on the national circuit because the racing was so fantastic across all the classes.
Proved everybody wrong, didn't it?
It did, yeah, because everyone was like, oh my God, and then, yeah, literally it was, oh my God, but, or OMG, for the pun. So yeah, it was fantastic racing. So it's kicking off at Silverstone. It will be ending at Brands in October as usual. They are keeping the other Brands Hatch Big Summer Bash at Brands. So they're keeping that event. They have just taken out the Indy Circuit and replaced it with Donington. I know that there are some other tweaks with the calendar, but I can't remember them off the top of my head. McCann's Yamaha, Honda, JG Speed Fit, and the RAF regular reserve teams have all been testing in various locations. Of course, Scott Redding got his first taste of the new Ducati V4R on board the Aruba.it racing Ducati that was in Jerez in November. His body language was very, very positive. He looked very, very happy. He looks like he's in a very, very good headspace at the moment. So although he knows not a lot of the British tracks, I would say he is potentially a championship favourite. We have had a few bike reveals as well. McCams have revealed their brand new livery, as have JG Speed or Quattro plant JG Speed Fit Kawasaki as it is now.
Does it look exactly the same?
No, it doesn't.
Oh,
oddly enough, it's what one?
The Kawasaki, the JG Speedfit one. Because I thought on
it looks very gappy. Is my wording. Last year they had like the big JG Speedfit across the fairing, and now there's like a Quattro plant that's about that long, and then a tiny little JG Speedfit sticker. So it looks the same but different. But the McCams is the biggest change, I would say, because McCams is now very, very black. I don't know if this is like a Yamaha marketing thing in line with the factory Yamaha MotoGP team. Obviously, last week we touched on Bradley Ray doing a MotoGP test for MotoGP reward. I wouldn't don't know if it was a test. I don't know if he tried anything different or tried anything for the team, but he got a good go on a MotoGP machine. As I can imagine, it's probably a thank you from Suzuki. So Brad Ray's been out overseas in Sepang doing that. We've also had Peter Hickman, James Ellison, Charlie Nesbitt and Josh Watley, along with a few others at the Texas Tornado Boot Camp. And they, if you can go back on their social media and watch that, it looks like carnage.
Yeah, I did actually see that, and Josh's dad had a massive moment where he bruised literally all of his leg and his backside, and it not good.
Josh took to social media as well, and he done a little caption contest with a big old rifle. Not normal in Texas at all, is it? Rifles, Texas, no. So, also coming on to the support classes news. So, Sam Wilford has been out in Jerez testing Jorge Navarro's ex-Moto2 bike, getting ready for his GP2 title charge. Jack Kennedy is to stay with Integro Yamaha. Jake Archer will ride for RS Racing in GP2. We have Ben Wilson returning to his beloved Gearlink Kawasaki team for 2019. And my favourite bit of news has to be the Superstock news this year, because it is an almighty field in the British Superstock 1000. It is I'm calling it the All-Star Superstock 1000 class this year, because there is a lot of very, very big names. So, we have Richard Cooper.
Yeah. Okay.
We have Richard Cooper returning with Bill Bay Suzuki, despite his win for them in the British Superbike class at the end of 2019. We have Billy McConnell is going over to OMG Racing Suzuki. We have got Taylor McKenzie, who will be riding for Bavens BMW. We also have Bjorn Esterman, who is going to be riding for the Ever-Equipped Suzuki team. So that was quite hard not to say Ever-Equipped Yamaha then, but Ever-Equipped Suzuki in the Superstock 1000. Andy Reid will be with Tyco BMW, and Tom Neve will be riding for Honda Racing Superstock 1000 this year. So as I said, it is a very, very, very all-star grid this year for the Superstock 1000.
I noticed as well with there was a good couple of announcements just in the last week or so with 600 as well.
Yes, there is Shani Pinfold. That's Motorstar. I'll start with Shani Pinfold then. Motorstar Shani Pinfold will stay with RS Racing, although she will be going up to the City Lifting red bikes, as most people know them, the yellow and red bikes in the Motorstar that run the KTMs. In the Superstock 600, we have had Ben Luxton, who is now riding for JR Performance Racing, and on social media he's been saying that this is a very, very good package for him, and it's the best package available to him. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Even in the support classes, there is a lot of late deals going on. I mean, we are frighteningly close to getting testing underway, and there is a lot of good young riders that are still getting deals secured, and still waiting to announce deals. So yeah. It's I'm very, very excited for all the classes in BSB this year, because I think it's going to be absolutely bonkers, because just the level of quality in each field. Bonkers good, yeah, because there's very, very, very good quality in each category, I feel.
Although Phil's been on, Phil Simmons, sorry Phil if I mispronounced your name, and he's commented regarding Bjorn Esmond. I think you mentioned that he was an all-star rider, and certainly he is a fantastic rider anyway. Did the business pretty pretty good business last year for Everquip. And, he... well, I won't repeat exactly what Phil said, but doesn't think much of Bjorn. Sorry, Bjorn, if you tuned in.
Yeah, I didn't directly state who was the all-star riders and who wasn't, but I did say that it is an all-star grid.
See? Phil, you're paying attention.
That was very journalist, that was.
Yes, well done.
Out of that one.
Well done. But yeah, so the big news then in 600, I'm going to put you on the spot unexpectedly, and it's going to fluster you, because we didn't talk about doing this. Who is going to be the 2, 3 or 10 title contenders?
So, paper, lots of paper, right. So, I would say Scott Redding definitely will be.
No, I meant for like stock 600 and 1000 and stuff.
Stock 6, I wouldn't be able to say, to be honest. If Ben Luxton's sitting there saying that he's got a good package, then he's got to be a good threat. Stock 1000, probably Cooper, I would say. British Super Sport, Kennedy. I don't know, because Super Sport is quite you got quite a lot of experience in there this year, I feel. So you've got Jack Kennedy, who will be defending his title with the Integro Yamaha, but you've also got people like Ben Wilson, James Westmoreland. So there's a lot of good riders in there this year that can challenge and probably will challenge. GP2 will probably be quite interesting. Again, you've got it's Jake Archer. He looked good, he's been looking good on the RS Racing. Kalex.
I say Kalex, but I don't know. Okay. Maybe I've been saying it wrong. I don't know.
But he's he has been looking good, and again, he's been sort of taken to social media. I don't think any rider in their right mind is going to turn around and be like, oh, it's been terrible, I don't like it. They're obviously not going to do that, but the vibes I've been picking up off of social media is that he's looking incredibly comfortable on that bike. You have obviously, I think GP2 is going to be quite good this year, but there is still a lot of stuff to be done before we can sort of really piece together a big old picture. So
okay. If anybody does have any burning opinions on who, I know Andrew Hall has been in touch again, suggesting maybe Ben Godfrey and Jordan Weaving for stock 1000 for Jones Dorling Racing. Maybe, could be, who knows. And Cameron Fraser and Ewan Potter for 600. So says Andrew Hall. Anyway, if you disagree with him, then why not chip in your contribution and tell us who might be the title contenders or winner. And you're allowed to nominate yourself if you're tuned in and you're riding this year. We know a lot of people do, but who? Come on, if you're really feeling confident, then let us know. Especially if you are a rider. We know they like to tune into the show, lurking in the background. Anyway, a couple of comments before we get to some breaking news in just a moment. Ooh, breaking news. We've all woken up a little bit. A couple of comments that flooded in. Thank you, by the way, Nat, for the BSB lowdown over the winter. But Mark Davis, regarding Taz McKenzie, comment came in earlier from Mark saying he thinks Taz is the true dark horse of BSB, but he also thinks we will have a first-time champion this year, Bradway. Many hungry youngsters in the class.
I think there's about in BSB as a class in BSB. There's 4 or 5 dark horses this year. Honestly,
they're not even dark horses. They're right there because Haslam and Dixon have gone, and
Haslam's gone. Dixon's gone. And they've been pretty much, and Shaky Burns injured, and they're the 3 that have been really regularly hounding the podium for the last two seasons. Two seasons, really. I mean, Shaky Byrne halfway through last year, of course, but there's a lot of dark horses. You know, you've got Tasmac, you've got Jason O'Halloran, you've got Andrew Irwin, you've got I mean, from what I've seen in testing, when JG or Quattro Plant, JG Speedfit were down in Guadix in Spain, Ben Curry is looking very good. He has been keeping Glenn honest from what I've been hearing. So, Ben Curry could be.
That's a good team. That one.
That is a strong team. That is a strong team. I think out of the entire movement of the grid, I think that's probably one of the most underestimated teams as well. I don't think anyone's expecting too much from them, but I think at the same time they're going to do great.
Yeah, sorry to talk over you. I know that's not good, but the whole team is almost like the whole team itself is an underdog team this year, even though they are the champions.
Yeah.
But because Mossy's gone and Haslam's gone as well, what they've brought in are two fantastic young riders who are eager to prove themselves.
Can I just say, I actually did forget that, I forgot to shout out that Luke Mossy and Josh Elliott are both riding for OMG Suzuki, which is another big change.
Yeah. So, talking about OMG, by the way, or the former rider from OMG from last year, Mark's been in touch again and asking, does anyone know what is happening with Gino Ray, Gino from last year?
At the moment, he's doing a lot of rider coaching.
So
as far as we know, he hasn't got a ride for next year. But as I said, in various other classes around the world, certainly in the British paddock, there are various deals still to be done. So you never know, he may well crop up for an 11th hour deal on British Superbikes, maybe Super Stocks, Super Sport. Who knows? So there's a lot of 11th hour deals going on at the moment. So
he could be one of those. Yeah, stay tuned.
He could be.
All right, this is the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we are still very much live. And we have some breaking news next.
The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
I'm Ryan Vickers.
Hi, I'm Ben Curry.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team, and you're listening to Motorsport Radio.
Yeah, big breaking news in the last hour or so, I suppose, regarding MotoGP. And Liam, what have you got for us? Tell us what's been announced and why it's so important.
Yeah, so this is massive news. Basically, Indonesia have signed a 3-year deal to host the MotoGP from 2021 to 2023. So the new venue is going to be constructed in the Mandalika, I hope I've got that right, area of the island of Lombok. And it is reported that the track will be 4.32 kilometres long and an 18-corner circuit. But get this, it's going to be a street course. So it'll be the first ever. It'll be the first ever. Carnage. It will be. So it's it's been passed by the FIA safety officer Franco Incini. So they're going to be heading there in 2021. Now it's going to be great for the market of MotoGP because they sell lots of bikes in Indonesia and they've been wanting to go there for a while. So it's going to be huge over there, just like it was in Thailand. But I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work with a street circuit.
And when I say carnage, I don't potentially mean the street circuitness. I mean the fans. Like
no,
you see some of the guys on social media. You see some of the riders on social media, and they honestly can't even breathe. These fans are like so. Yeah, that's really good news for MotoGP, I think, and I think it's good news for all the fans that are over in Indonesia.
Yeah, that part of the world is becoming really popular with MotoGP, and it's a great market to break into.
We have a lot of listeners in various Indonesian Facebook groups. So hello, folks, if you tuned in, by the way.
One thing I will want to point out is that MotoGP currently runs at 19 rounds, and with next year, the Kimi ring and Finland is going to be on the calendar, so that's going to take up to 20. And if Indonesia comes on, well, when it does come on, that could potentially take it past the 20 round mark up to 21, which Formula One currently have. So it's going to really tire out the riders, and I don't know how that will work with the sort of logistics, and especially if lots of riders get injured as well.
I was going to ask if I was actually going to sit there and ask you if you found out if that meant that Finland wasn't going to happen, but clearly it is. So
yeah, so I'm buzzing for that one.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I love new races anyway. I don't think there's anything as a motorcycle racing fan. There's nothing quite like watching the best bikes in the world rolling out on a brand new bit of tarmac. I think it's really exciting when you get sort of a few new races on the calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the track in Indonesia is really going to wake up the MotoGP boys when they go, and girls, when they ride around the track. Yeah, when they ride around the track and go, wow, these walls are so close. I don't know how that will work, but I'm really excited to see MotoGP racing a street circuit.
It may be like a Sochi or what a Valencia street circuit was, where it's a hybrid. I call them hybrid street circuits, where they're street circuit but they're still road circuit, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, with some of the A grade top level F1 street courses, they're in the vicinity of the city sort of thing, but the track is effectively a proper. It's been totally relayed with performance enhancing, not Silverstone stuff, but yeah, the proper stuff. So it's not like you're going to be riding over cobbles and grids and stuff like that.
What basically what the FIM and Franco Incini had probably had to ask is if a Michele Pirro Mugello style accident happened at 220 miles an hour, and I think his airbag went off at something like 196 mile an hour when he was in the air, how safe is it going to be for him? So, and that's exactly what the FIM and the Dorna homologation guys would have done. They would have questioned what would happen in worst case scenario where you have a Pirro style accident. Is it safe enough for that sort of accident to happen? Not that anyone, as I said earlier, wants that sort of accident to happen, because it was very, very nasty and quite scary for everyone.
Surely they'll have... Oh, sorry.
Go on, mate.
So surely they've got to put down gravel traps as well on the outside. I mean, how else would they slow them down?
They might even go for a Paul Ricard style stuff with that really abrasive. But then as you know, Indonesia is quite a hot country. So actually, when look what happened to Scott Redding in Thailand when he flew off at 145 mile an hour and burnt a hole in his levers. So I think it'll be interesting that potentially, maybe, we don't know, there could be new technology to make these street circuits safe for motorbikes to ride around.
Definitely would have to be, because following the road racing around, you don't need to crash anywhere near the speeds that Michele Pirro was doing to have a truly terrible incident on your hands. I mean, it would be great for Indonesia, as they are so big for the motorbike market and for the motorsport fan base alone. There are millions of people there that have been wanting a MotoGP race there for some time. So in terms of a marketing point for the sport and spectators and everything, it would be fabulous to go. The question is, could they make that circuit safe? And how? Because street circuits, could they really get that many gravel traps in? More importantly, could they get them at the key corners of the track? You could, I suppose, air fence the circuit round, because
I think they're trying to steer away from air fences, though. After what happened with Louis Salom, I think they're trying to steer away from the air fences.
Well, they still work.
That's exactly what happened.
The problem with Louis Salom's crash was that there wasn't enough runoff space between the racetrack and the air fence to slow the bike down enough, even when it was the bike and rider when it was on its side. So he ultimately just crashed in at too fast speed.
There is a map of the circuit. Sorry.
Yeah, go on, Liam.
There is a map of the circuit on the article that we've read, and it looks particularly fast in a lot of areas. So they will have to extend that barrier back quite a lot, a bit like so we avoid a Lewis Salom situation at Barcelona.
Go on.
Sorry.
Nah.
I was going to say, I feel like, obviously F1 signed a deal with Vietnam, and then they done a preview and showed you the area, and the roads in Vietnam are very, very wide. It's not, when we say street circuit, I think everyone automatically has this thought of, oh my God, Monaco, or oh my God, Singapore. It may not be, because the new Vietnam F1 circuit is going to be very, very wide. It's going to have a lot of runoff areas because everything's not built on top of each other like a city street circuit. So it depends. That'll be the real difference, because for all we know, it could be sort of a Battersea Park sort of setting where there's grass and grass there anyway, and they'll dig a few holes, and it's technically a street circuit because it's a public road.
There has been some news on about what you were speculating on. The president director of the IDTC confirmed today, presumably, that the circuit, quote, the street circuit will be built from zero, unlike the tracks in Singapore and Monaco. It will be, when not raced on, just used as a regular highway in the area. So I think, going back to what I suggested, in that the road will be completely sort of ripped up and started afresh with performance asphalt. The project, it says, going back to the article published on motorsport.com, where we found the breaking news via Kiko Giles. Hi. The project, the article says, will be carried out by the French company Vinci Construction. So everyone get Googling. It's not the same company that laid Silverstone, don't worry. And apparently the surface for the new track is set to go down in September later this year. An option to extend the deal past its initial 3-year duration exists in the contract. And it will be Moto-GP's first ever street event, as we've already mentioned. But it's interesting, though, I suppose, Liam, I'm going to ask you, will this round in Indonesia detract from the other Asian rounds in MotoGP? How do you think it would? Do you think it maybe add pressure for the others to I don't know, step their game up, perform more, or whatever, or will it just fit in nicely? Is there room for another Asian round on the calendar?
Yeah, I think there is plenty of room for another Asian round on the calendar. As we said already, that side of the world is a big market for MotoGP at the moment, and to be honest, the Asian crowds are some of the most passionate in the world. You go to Japan, they're crazy for MotoGP, always waving their flags, which is always great to see. Thailand, which was on the MotoGP calendar for the first time last year, was an absolute hit. It was sold out and it was packed from the Friday onwards. Obviously, you had China in the past. It's a shame that they don't go there anymore. That was you'd sometimes have interest in racing there. The fans generally seem to love it as well. So, yeah, there's lots of great opportunity for. Obviously, if MotoGP goes over there, it gets the chance of possibly some young riders coming through from that part of the world as well to go into MotoGP and do well there. And you obviously got to remember Malaysia as well. That's another huge one that is now breeding young talent coming through to MotoGP because of the success of the sport in that country.
I feel like it's quite a political question, though, because, yeah, I don't know,
Because if you're another circuit, if you're I don't know, Malaysia, let's say, and this has just been announced. Now, we don't know if Malaysia was given advance warning, but if you're another circuit on the calendar and some a neighbour has just been announced on, you're thinking probably, what are they playing at? You might be looking over your shoulder and thinking, well, are we the next to go? Or, something. I don't know.
I think the same reaction as us as MotoGP, breaking news. MotoGP is going to Not Kill. We'd all be like, oh my God.
Yes, let's do that. Come to Not Kill, please.
But I suppose it'd be similar, I suppose, if there was another MotoGP round announced somewhere else in the UK, or, if there was a MotoGP round announced in Ireland, maybe, then Silverstone might be thinking, Jesus.
I think they're already thinking that after last year's
well, exactly,
debacle.
yeah.
And the amount that Donington have spent on their circuit refurb, so...
Exactly, yeah, which was...
I think, though, with Indonesia and in Asia, just look at the volume of people that are there condensed into that Far East part of the world, and the demand for motorbike racing is just huge. I think it's more of a logistical question rather than a political one.
You think they're going there because of the demand, do you?
Oh, yeah. The sport organisers, it makes sense to take the races where there's demand, and Far East Asia, there is an incredible... It's probably the most popular place for motorbike racing in the world, that part. In terms of logistically or the calendar timing of the events, you clump all those races probably into that traditional 4-week slot where MotoGP has the flyaway races at the end of the season, which actually probably raises the question, where would Australia go? Because 5 flyaways in one place maybe seem too far for some, so maybe Australia would move to the start of the season, just before Qatar. But the demand, certainly, for the race there in Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, Thailand, having the Indonesian race there would not diminish the demand for race elsewhere in the other 3 parts of Asia either. So I think it would call for Australia to move to the start of the season to accommodate Indonesia into the calendar.
I don't think the existing Asian circuits need to worry about anything because they already get record crowds, especially in Malaysia and in Japan. Most of the manufacturers are Japanese anyway, so they've always got huge support. So I think they'll be absolutely fine. As Ed's saying, maybe the only one that would have to worry would be Australia, but that's just moving to the start of the year, really, which would actually help everyone because that's still part of their Australian summertime. Personally, I would like that arrangement just because in my world, coming, probably shouldn't admit this from a 4-wheel Formula 1 background history, the traditional start of any season is always Australia, as is the World Superbikes this weekend. So, yeah, it's kind of, nobody would begrudge a great race in Australia to kickstart the season.
It's one of the best circuits in the world, Phillip Island, so they might as well do it.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's far more interesting a circuit than Losail. Yeah, I've said it, but I think it's a safe thing to say.
I think everyone in the world agrees with you.
Yeah.
Although Losail with MotoGP does throw up a good race, usually. It usually does.
Do they ever have any fans there at the circuit?
They have one grandstand with
about 200.
Yeah, they have one grandstand down the main straight which can supposedly fit 15,000 people in. Now, I've never seen it full, even on MotoGP race day. It's the ultimate corporate grandstand, I think. There's apparently a very small grandstand at the exit of turn 3 or something, but again, it's the smallest attended Grand Prix of all of them by a long way. So
should be interesting to see. Anyway, so that is tonight's big breaking news. For some reason, Thursday seems to be a good night for breaking news, as news often breaks in BSB, MotoGP, as is the case tonight. So yeah, keep it up, world of bikes. Anyway, this is the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. Hello and welcome. If this is your first time ever tuning in to us, you can head over right now onto our website, motorsport.radio, and you can listen to a number of different audio downloads or podcasts, as older people call them, and listen to them, take them with you, squirt them up your devices, and listen to them in your car on your way to, I don't know, say a BSB event, let's say. Or you can perhaps check out some fantastic articles from the likes of Mr. Ed Hocknell and Nat Jarvis, and also Liam Hodgins as well, when they're not writing down breaking news bits and prep for tonight's show. They're doing other stuff as well. And especially if you're wanting to keep up to date with what's happening in the road racing world as well, because Ed as you might be able to tell, I don't know, is sporting an Isle of Man TT fleece this evening, or is it a jacket? He is a fan of. Fleece. Yeah, he's somewhat of a fan / super fan of road racing, but I'm sure you wouldn't be able to tell if you were tuning in. Anyway, but do we have any? What is the latest? Anyway, I've been sort of out of the loop for Christmas.
Yeah, so last week, if you're watching, we ran through the calendar. That was there. All the main events, there's 13 rounds in total on the Irish road race calendar this year, which all kicks off this year on April the 26th and 27th at the Cookstown 100. But this week we've more so with the rider news, because the top teams and the top riders have finally announced their plans for the year. And the headline news really out of the winter is that Michael Dunlop has confirmed he is returning to the road racing scene and will once again race with Tyco BMW in the Superbike classes at all the international meetings. Now, for those of you new to road racing, the internationals are the Northwest 200, the Isle of Man TT and the Ulster Grand Prix for 2019. And it's big news because, of course, he, remember, took an extended break, really, midway through last season after the tragic death of his brother, William. So I think it's fair to say it's fantastic to see him back on the racing, because road racing, it isn't the same without the Dunlop name there. Ian Hutchinson, who's hoping to be back for full fitness this season, is once again returned to Honda Racing for the international meets. And he's been partnered by Dave Johnson, the Australian, this year, who's moved across after, I believe, was riding last year for Norton, substituting for John McGuinness last year. But he's now with Honda, and the two of them are going to spearhead the Japanese manufacturers' efforts at the Northwest 200 and the TT. Dean Harrison, who's racing BSB and road racing for internationals once again this year. His team, the Silicon Engineering Kawasaki outfit, they have been given full factory support at the Northwest 200, the TT and the Ulster this year in recognition of their success from last season. Was Dean Harrison setting many lap records at the TT and taking a victory as well. So, which is good news for Dean Harrison, just reward, we should say, for all he's done in road racing the last couple of years. A whole host of newcomers have been given a big opportunity at the internationals. The Penn's 13 BMW team, they are returning to the paddock after a couple of years away, and they've signed up the services of Davy Todd, Daley Matteson, and Finnish rookie Erno Kostamo to ride for them the internationals. Erno Kostamo is standing in at the Northwest 200 for former Grand Prix racer, Moto3 race, we should say, Danny Ware, who has in recent years become their regular rider on the road racing scene. And last of the riders to be announced recently, James Hillier, one of the road racing veterans, and is he still competing that in British Superstock this year? One of the support classes this year.
Were you asking me?
Paddock, and that but he's returning to the Quattroplane Kawasaki team for all the international meetings this year.
Oh yes, Hillier is doing that.
Oh, who's that? Oh, Hillier.
James Hillier.
I'm not 100% sure if he's doing Stock 1000, but I shall find out.
Awesome. He's teaming up once again with Quattroplane Kawasaki, partnering Glenn Irwin, who's of course moved to the team during the off-season at the Northwest 200. No announcement yet as to who, if anyone, will be James Hillier's teammate at the Isle of Man TT. This year's indications suggest it won't be Glenn Irwin, but as he hasn't raced at the TT yet today, but with Quattroplane Kawasaki being a staple name in that paddock, we could speculate that Glenn Irwin might indeed make his TT debut this year. But as of yet, James Hillier has been confirmed at Quattroplane Kawasaki.
Just to answer your question,
his teammate.
Just to answer your question, yes, he is riding in the British Superstock 1000 for Quattroplane Kawasaki.
Awesome. And that, I believe, is all the road racing news in terms of riders.
Road racing news. We should have a little jingle. I've been busy making jingles and stuff for the show. You couldn't tell, I know, but as the weeks go on, maybe I'll invent some time where I've got time to make all these cool little jingles and bits of things and stuff. Anyway, so thank you for that, Ed, for updating us on the old road racing front. A couple of comments that have flooded in from people tuned in, amazingly still, this evening on the Superbike Show. Alan Robinson has been in touch. Hello, good evening, Alan. Also, Ryan Lilly, while we were talking, going back to BSB earlier, when we were talking about, I think someone mentioned about Gino Ree and his departing from OMG, or I think they are mutual departing of ways. Ryan suggested that Gino could set up his own team. He suggests, and Kevin Boyden suggested that he likes that idea, and that might actually be a possibility. So, Gino, if you tuned in, let us know what's going on. You're leaving it a bit late to set some up, but you never know. Who knows? And would it be in BSB? Maybe he's got some unfinished business potentially.
Could go back to Moto2.
Yes, I mean, he is spending more and more time abroad. And why not? Because it's, warmer.
He made it very clear over the last couple of years on his social media, when he's been at Silverstone for MotoGP, Moto2 and Moto3, that he would love to go back to the Moto2 Championship. So... yeah, but I to be honest, I think the Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP grid was done in like December 2017 anyway, so that was a joke, by the way.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't really, but it was all done very, very early on, so yeah.
Well, Ryan's been back in touch once again, and he has, I don't know, it sounds like he knows something, does old Ryan Lilly, and he's been in touch regarding what I literally just mentioned. And I will let you know. Ryan says it's not a suggestion. It's actually a very big possibility that Gino could set up his own team, potentially and I suggested BSB just because he's probably got some unfinished business there. So says Ryan Lilly. Ryan's been in touch a few times. Anyway, let us know if you think that Gino Rhea will maybe set up his own team.
Maybe.
That'd be an interesting one. No, it's just a surprise if he does.
I did hear this. I saw Gino on a track day last year at Brands Hatch, and you wouldn't believe some of the kit he actually has.
Bike.
He had a whole garage pretty much to himself.
I suppose you would if you're running,
He had an ex-Tito Rabat Mark V, the old really nice old silver and yellow. The old before they went to the Estrella Galicia sponsorship. He has one of them, an ex-Tito Rabat spare Moto2 bike. He had his old AGT self-funded Moto2 bike as well. I think it's self-funded, or AGR or AGT. I can't quite remember the bright orange bike. He got Yamaha R1s. Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him to actually set up his own team, because he's done it. He has done it before at World Championship level. So, it's a possibility, and stranger things have happened. And the BSB paddock's probably one of the friendlier places to be able to do it. So,
it's only friendly if you get along with people. And there can be some politics, I hear, in BSB occasionally from time to time. But someone else asked, and forgive me, I forgot, the chat's been going mad tonight, and it's hard to keep up with the scrolling. But somebody asked why Gino left OMG last year in the first place after he was announced. Most people will remember he was announced as a rider in, I think, early November. And then literally not even 2 weeks later, it was announced that there had been a mutual separation. And there was not not a particular specific reason given, and to my knowledge, there still hasn't been any specific reason given. It sounds like they just kind of wanted to do their own thing, I suppose. And Gino's not said anything in particular. OMG haven't said anything, so we don't know basically what it was about. We don't know. Do you know, Nat? I don't know. Don't speculate.
There's no speculation because both Gino and OMG have been. It could be just a neutral decision. I think it's just one of them things that if there was any turmoil or anything, I don't think we'll ever hear about it. But there might not have been. So it could have just genuinely been a mutual, friendly agreement. So it is what it is. It is what it is. There's no point in speculating when there's no facts available to speculate on. So, because that's when people can,
get into trouble. Yes, I know what you mean. So with that in mind, let's swiftly move on to a couple more comments that flooded in just before we wrap up the show. Comment now, Liam, you might know this guy. I don't know. It sounds like he's got a similar sort of name. But Grant has been on. And he says he's just seen that Indonesia have agreed MotoGP's first street race in 2021. Grant, you're so on the ball. We've not noticed. We've just had a full half hour talking about it. Sorry, Grant, I wasn't.
First of all,
I was taking the piss, sorry.
First of all, I don't know who he is. Same last surname, no relation. I'm kidding, it's my brother. I'm quite upset he didn't keep on top of this.
Why have you not been tuned in earlier when we were actually talking about it, Grant? Where have you been?
Yeah, we're talking about breaking news. Yes, Indonesia is on the calendar for 2021 to 2023, and a street course will be constructed in September of this year, and we will see the first ever street race in MotoGP, which I find quite interesting to say street race, the first ever, because back in the early days, from 1949 all the way up to the 70s, they used to race on road courses anyway. So...
The first ever modern.
Yeah, I know what they mean, but
safety standards.
That was before track safety was a thing.
It's pretty much go out and just crash into a tree and see if you get back on your bike.
By the way, Liam, I don't quite understand why you just wasted the internet when you could have just gone to your brother's room and just told him.
Is he literally next door?
No, it's not next door.
Okay.
No, that's the other one. He currently lives in the land of. Well, I don't know where really.
England?
Somewhere.
No.
Is it in Scotland or is it in England?
It's in Scotland, but I think it pretends to be England.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So there you go. I'm sure he's feeling embarrassed now, Grant. So
red cheeks and everything.
Do tune in again, though, Grant. Sorry. Anyway, Charlie Andrews has been on. Hello. Good evening, Charlie. And she says, surely Gino would rather join a competitive Moto2 team, she says, than sit at the back of the grid on his own BSB bike. Charlie.
Right. The problem is there is no competitive Moto2 seat available now. They're all gone. The Moto2 grid is pretty much locked in unless there's a really extraordinary last 11th hour deal, which seems to be my favourite saying tonight, 11th hour. But BSB is a lot more of an even playing field. It's a series where it is more about the rider's bravery and ability than what it is about the bike that you are on. So, it might be a bike potentially at the back of the grid, but, he could do well. I mean, to be fair, I am really, really disappointed Gino isn't on the grid this year. He started looking very, very good towards the end of last year. He was, starting to really trouble the top 10 riders. So I'm a little bit disappointed because he did look really good towards the end of last year.
Yeah, and Ryan Lilly's heard something, but he's sworn to secrecy, he said in public.
I swear he's trolling us. He is just trolling us.
He is, definitely.
He's pretending he knows something, but I bet he doesn't.
Yeah.
I bet you he probably does, but
we should get him on the show.
We should just phone Gino.
Where's the gossip?
Yeah, and say, "Hi, Gino, what are you playing at? What are you doing?" But yeah, a few people actually rumoured to be. You know, it's that time of year where people. It's like the silly season has already started, isn't it? You know, I've heard so and so starting up their own team, and Thingy's just, he's about to do a deal with a thingy for an engine, and there's so many teams coming and going. If you believed all the rumours around, then there'd be like 50 teams coming and going out in and out of BSB every single year.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair, let's not forget what happened last year in BSB, where there was a lot of changes throughout. I don't even think we actually finished the year with this. I literally don't think anyone finished the year in the same team that they started it with. Not like literally, but that's what it felt like. There was just so many chops and changes throughout the year in BSB. So,
and even more in like Stock 1000 and stuff as well.
Oh, it was just. And the thing is, a lot of this was all happening when all the big sort of MotoGP news was happening. So for poor old people that have to sit there and type about it, it was just you pumped out one article and then you're sitting there writing another, and then while you're writing another, then another thing pops up. So but there's silly season's already started anyway, because Liam, I believe, done an article about Ducati's troubles going into next year, because they've got 3 candidates in MotoGP, and I've said that there's one within World Superbike that could well get the 2020 seat, because I feel like Alvaro Bautista was slightly maybe robbed of actually giving that Ducati seat for this year.
Well, the way he performed at Phillip Island.
You could not have asked for a better standing.
It was the best audition for the job, wasn't it? That you could think of.
This is the problem with MotoGP at the moment, is the deals are being done so early that actually Bautista was struggling around Mugello. They announced Petrucci, and then all of a sudden, 3 rounds later, Bautista just absolutely. He was ahead of Petrucci, who was on same year machinery. And when I say same year machinery, Petrucci was on a 2018 Ducati in 2018, rather than Bautista was on a 2017 Ducati in 2018. So he had a year disadvantage of the bike. Yet I'm pretty sure he beat Petrucci almost every round in the second half of the season.
He was definitely very impressive. I think MotoGP should maybe try and go for some sort of football-style transfer window towards the end of the year.
It's already been discussed, in BSB anyway. Me and Kiko last year, I think I came up with it, literally that, have a transfer window, make it like an event from Sky Sports or something, have a transfer deadline day, make it a big thing. It'd be a good idea, I think.
Yeah, because it lets everyone perform throughout the year, and then you can assess who's done well and who hasn't. And for example, Maverick Vinales was signed for another 2-year deal by France last year or before that?
Yeah, but even before that, Rossi, before his new deal that's just got signed, he actually signed in Qatar before practice had even started. That was in 2016. But I think they need to do something, because the thing is, and this is with no disrespect to the younger riders, you've got Juan Mir, who's come straight into a factory Suzuki seat. Now, after he got signed with factory Suzuki, his results in Moto2 started sort of curdling off, which, there might be various reasons, but then you've got such good riders like Loris Baz who are out of a ride because they've been caught, literally been caught sleeping in something that they shouldn't be caught sleeping.
And the riders who do get those contracts so early in advance, that pressure to perform, or that incentive to perform, however you want to call it, suddenly it doesn't quite completely disappear, but it diminishes enough for them not to commit as hard as someone who is still desperately trying to secure a future in the sport. So,
Ian O'Neill the famous power rider.
I think a transfer window would be a good idea, or at the least certainly a time where, say, you couldn't do contract deals until after the summer break, or during the summer break. You've got to have half the season.
The thing is, the loophole in that is everyone knows.
Yeah, it's how could you possibly enforce it? I get that. So.
No, everyone. No, it's not even that. It's everyone knows that Johann Zarco hadn't actually signed with Red Bull KTM when like for a large period of time, but he had a really big verbal agreement for quite a long time. But I think went all the way back to like Le Mans 2017 that actually Johann Zarco had a verbal agreement with Red Bull KTM that he would be on board in 2019. So you're never going to really stop it because you're going to have these verbal agreements and handshakes in the paddock. Okay, they're not contractually obligated, but you're still going to have people trying to poach people quite early on.
Potential
contracts are made to be broken in MotoGP. It happens every so often.
And verbal agreements aren't binding or official in any way, so
they'll find a way of making it binding and official. I guarantee you. I tell you what, if someone slips you an envelope in your back pocket, that's
that's different though, isn't it? If you're getting paid to join them, that's free work. MotoGP mercenaries.
I don't know. I don't think we'll see any big dramas or last-minute surprises or Moto2 teams set up by Gino Rea. I could be wrong. Maybe. I don't know. I might contact him later in the week.
Highly improbable.
And ask him.
That's the reason we want a transfer window, so Gino Rea has a chance of getting a competitive Moto2 ride.
Why not? Who knows? But yeah, at various points, when there was so much happening last year in BSB, in the support category at least, when there was literally half the grid, it seemed like coming and going every other round. It seemed like, you kind of need to put like a bit of a lid on this because it's getting a bit ridiculous now.
Can we? I think this should maybe be a debate next week, but I think a lot of it as well is rider funding. Because let's not forget that a lot of riders are having to get a lot of money to be able to actually ride these bikes. And I'm talking about Moto3, Moto2, even MotoGP. You have to have big sponsor backing to actually secure a competitive ride.
True.
And you're talking of 250,000 for a year in Moto3.
But maybe
that's how much a rider's got to raise for it.
Yeah, maybe it would help actually make things a bit more stable, though. In that, if you're a rider looking for a bit of money, it would be better to come to a team, and it would make things more stable for the team as well. Because if I'm a team, and I know there's a transfer window in effect, and I know that particular rider is bringing enough money to see him through to the next transfer window, that means as a team I'm all right, unless the guy's been lying to me, and I'm sure no rider's ever done that.
What about a certain rider who's having plastic surgery? Then you're stuffed.
Blake Gibbons has been on, and he says a transfer window could work. However, it happens that there will be complications from finances, as we've just said, to rider flexibility due to them falling ill, etc. So yeah, maybe there's like an hour-long debate that we could have, and we filled like 3 hours.
I think that's a good
season,
debate for next week about transfer windows.
Who knows? Yeah, because we've got nothing else to talk about. Excellent. All right, so that is, unless there's any other business, guys, the end of the show. Well, unless I'm missing something. Has anyone got any other pertinent things that I've missed?
I object. Sorry, no. I just felt like that was appropriate, but no.
We're all good.
Anyway,
we're all good. World Superbike and road racing, so.
Excellently. Yeah. So,
who's buzzing for the weekend? World Superbikes is back. Can't wait.
It will be good. Qualifying, according to what Ed wrote for me, because I've not checked it out for myself. Qualifying, the actual qualifying session, Saturday, 1:15 a.m. Race 1 on Saturday morning at 4 a.m. The Super Pole quali race on the Sunday at 1 a.m. and race 2 Sunday morning at 4 a.m. Isn't that right, Ed?
It is.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you to everyone who's taken part, lurked, argued, stabbed each other and bludgeoned each other to death on the watch party thing. It's been interesting. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in to the Superbike Show. My name is Lester, and we will do this all again same time next week, unless we've gone and set up our own BSB team.
Motorsport Radio.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Ray from the Kawasaki Racing Team.
Hi, this is Nick Hamilton.
Hi, I'm Jamie Chadwick.
Hey everyone, I'm Bradley Smith.
Hi, I'm Joanne Zacco.
Hi, I'm Bradley Wright.
Hi, I'm Seb Morris.
Hi, I'm Dan Linfoot from Honda Racing, British Superbike team, and this is Motorsport Radio.